Hi y'all. How y'all doing, Farmer Brown? It's gonna be a pretty long video. I just want to do a garden update. This year hasn't been that great. A lot of successes, a bit more failures. Just gonna give you a little tour. This here is a Granny Smith apple tree. See how it's leaning over? It's because I got so much fruit up there that it was like leaning down here. I was waiting for the apples to ripen, but I think it was gonna kill my tree, or at least break it off. This is an unknown pear tree. Got it for free. A lot of nurseries, garden centers will give ugly trees away or throw it in the garbage. I save them. That's a free pear tree. This is free too. This is a free peach tree. See how it's growing here, not growing here. No vegetation up here. That was free. Give it 2 years, I'll get some good peaches out of that. All of my trees are dwarf or semi-dwarf, because I'm afraid of heights, and I'm not gonna climb up on a ladder to get a pear. The semi-dwarf is new. One peach. This is about 3 years old. 3-year-old peach. Nothing's on it yet because it started from a sucker. Mother-in-law had a peach tree, and I cut the sucker from it. If you don't know what suckers are, it's if you have a fruit tree, you'll get other things like this popping up from the ground. This is called a sucker. It's like a weed that happens from, I don't know how to explain it, but it's called a sucker. So I take the sucker, pull it out, and try and root it in a little tiny pot. And if it successfully roots, you have a new tree. It's another sucker. It's about 4 years old. This is a cherry tree. What else we got here? This is nectarine, I think. Nectarine, it's new. Walnut, black walnut tree. Hasn't produced yet. It's a year old. Free, what do I call this? I forget. You know, day drinking. I forget. Here's another one. Sucker. This is the same thing as that. Sucker, put it in the ground. Asian pear. Asian pear tree. It's got some fruits on it. If anyone can tell me why this happens, See how it's cracking? Why is that happening? Not all of them are doing it, but if you have some advice that you can give me, then leave it in the comments. New blueberry. 2-year-old peach. Not really excited this year. Next year it's gonna blueberry and some weeds. Blueberry and weeds. Check this out. It's my apple tree that is stressing out because there's so much fruit on it that it's making it lean and get crooked. Look how it's leaning over. I put the bar there and try to help it straighten it out, but I'm gonna hard prune this at the end of the season, meaning I'm gonna cut pretty much all of these branches down, straighten this up, straighten it up, and not expect a lot of fruit on it next year. I just want it to grow straight. So cut, straighten out. New growth next year. If it produces, it produces, but I just want it to be upright. New blueberry. Bing cherry that has caught something. See how the leaves are all down, like it hasn't been watered in 20 days? Whether I water it or not water it, it looks like that. All day, every day. If you have some advice, leave it in the comments. Put a raspberry there, free plant. Didn't have space to plant it anywhere, so I just put it out here. Yes, I know they send up runners, but if they do send up runners, I'll just propagate it and have more raspberry plants next year. This is some kind of apple. Producing really nice. I don't know what kind of apple it is. Oh. It is a apple tangy green. This is about 4 years old too. A lot of fruit on it. New blueberry clearance. It's not going to do anything this year, but at least it's a blueberry. Next year I'll get some fruit off of blueberry, new blueberry, new blueberry, new blueberry, new blueberry, new blueberry. Fig, that's what that is. Okay. Fig and fig, both free. Apple. This is the plum tree that I had 3 breaks this year because there was so many fruit on it that it just broke off. Here's a break. Here's a break. And here's a break. It didn't kill the tree. Still producing. That's called a tree collard. Gets about 6 foot tall. It is basically collard green tree. Grows like a tree. People call it tree kale or tree collards. It will last through the winter. And basically free fruit now. Another blueberry. Another apple. That's just an apple. I've got compost pile and weeds. Late planting of free tomatoes. This late in the season, garden centers, big box stores, they'll put their plants for sale for like $1. I just pick them up anyway, even though they might not totally come to fruition. But, you know, I'll have some fruit on, we'll see. It's fun. It's like an experiment. You know, they all have fruit on it. A lot of the $1 a piece tomatoes or whatever they sell, tags get switched or they're missing tags, so I don't know what this tomato is, but I'm gonna grow it anyway. Rosemary. What else do we have here? All this stuff here is free, or $1. I think that's a cauliflower. These here are chili peppers. They were $1 a piece. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. $10. Random weeds and onions in here. Broccoli. Broccoli does not do well in the heat. It's a cold weather plant. I've already harvested, as you can see, the main broccolis right there. That's where I cut them off. Oh, look. Here's, see that? With broccoli, you cut the main stem. I already cut the main stem there. Gosh, shadows. Okay, you see the cut. This is a weed. After you cut the main one, you'll have side shoots that'll grow. They won't be as big as that main broccoli head, but you can still get broccoli from it. Smaller harvest, so plant more. Dead purple cabbage. This purple cabbage is leaning over. Not sure what's going on here, but purple cabbage, purple cabbage, purple cabbage. Yeah, these were free too. If you're on a budget, man, I'm telling you, you could grow free food. I thought this was broccoli also, but it turned out to be kohlrabi. Turned out to be a kohlrabi plant. I don't know. I don't know what the hell kohlrabi is. I know it's edible, but that's huge. These are also free out of the bunch. I don't know if they're kohlrabi or not, but oh yeah, it is. red Russian kale. All of this red Russian kale here, I did not buy either. These came up as volunteers. Volunteers are plants that grow from how do I say this? They go to seed, going to seed, and they just drop. In springtime, I'll pick up the new seedlings and plant them in a row. Look at that. Would you just look at it? It's a lot of kale. Acorn squash, which are like the ghosts on Pac-Man. I don't know if you know what acorn squash is, but there's one. See the Pac-Man ghost right there. Pac-Man ghost. Acorn squash, volunteer, red Russian kale here too, which I'm gonna pull all of this out today. If you guys know where I live, if you like kale, come get it, because all this going in the compost. I have the traditional curly kale here. Awesome, it's huge. This is drawing a blank. Thinking right now, give me a second. Swiss chard, going to flower. Not sure. So this one isn't going to flower. Look how big these leaves are. You could use them in salads. It tastes kind of like spinach. Just to give you a vantage point. My hand. Look how big that leaf is. That's huge. It's a lot of food. That's not going to seed. This is Swiss chard too. Looks like crap, but going to seed means they start to flower, or bolting, or whatever you want to call it. They go to flower. All these will have seeds. The seeds will drop, and you'll have new volunteers coming up next spring. Failed broccoli plants. The leaves should be out here. This should be at least 2-3 feet tall, but they're stunted. It's because of the heat. Had a weird spring to summer transition. This was all my sugar snap peas. A lot of my friends and family got a whole bunch of what was growing on this, pulled them out because it's summer. Sugar snap peas don't do well in the heat. This is my green bean wall. From post to post is 8 feet. So I've got 3 8-feet. They're called hog panels. This metal thing here. Last year at this point, August, I was getting pounds of green beans. The weather has been so weird this year that I haven't got one yet from the vines. I've got green beans from the bushes. These are pole beans. The bush beans I'm getting beans from, but the pole beans are not happening. Tomatoes. So 8-foot long hog panels. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I went to Spanaway Lake High School, so 8 times 4 is 99. 8 times 4 is... Let me know in the comments. So this is my tomato wall. Same thing with the green beans this year. Not getting any tomatoes yet. Well, I'm getting green tomatoes. I mean, there's a ton of them, but usually they're red by now. Washington State, you know. Tomatoes, but they're all green. I usually only grow cherries, but this year I took a chance and planted some of the big ones too. This is bad. You have this curling action and the yellowing. Gotta get rid of that. With tomatoes, you can get a thing called blight, blossom end rot. Once you get blight or blossom end rot, it spreads throughout your tomatoes really fast. It'll kill this whole wall. What I did, pulling it off and throwing it on the ground right there, not good. Because when you water, it'll splash up and spread. It'll splash up on your leaves, your other leaves, and spread throughout all of your tomatoes. Got some purple basil here that was free. So you have green basil and you have purple basil. There's hundreds of kinds of basil. I'm gonna let this one go to flower, drop the seeds, and spread the seeds all over here. Plants that are purple contain, I think it's an antioxidant. It's anthocyanins or something like that. Keeps you young. Purple plants with more color, contain way more vitamins than green plants. Yeah, like for example, purple lettuces contain way more vitamins and nutrients than a green lettuce. Yes, I do ramble, and sometimes I make sense to myself, but not anyone else. Okay, tomato. Tomatoes, not cherry, but the bigger kind. This is another 8-foot section. Now to what I like the most. This is my cucumber wall. I have 1, 2, 3, 8 times 3 is 24. So 24 feet. I planted them really, really close. I don't really pay attention to what the package says. I think they say plant them a foot apart. But I plant them probably 8 inches apart. It's good and bad. I mean, you get a lot of production, but you also put yourself at risk for diseases. Baby cucumbers. A lot of diseases like powdery mildew and whatnot because of air circulation. Yeah, so cucumbers. Cabbage. For sauerkraut, cabbage is actually a cold weather plant. They seem to be doing well. I already pulled out a whole bunch that I planted in spring because slugs just ate them alive, and it wasn't worth trying to save them. There was holes everywhere. This is all going to be made into sauerkraut. Raspberry, tomatoes. I can't wait till these turn red. This is purple lettuce that is going to seed. It looks ugly, but the reason why I'm keeping it here is because I think I already kind of explained it earlier. All these flowers that have died, the seeds are going to pop out of there. When this plant dies, it's going to drop all of those seeds right around here. When it does, springtime when they pop up, I'll take them out and plant them all in a row. Which means I don't have to go to the big box store and buy lettuce seeds to plant. Free artichoke, purple basil. Here's where my garden gets kind of ugly. Raspberries, Bocking 14. Zucchinis, zucchini row. Zucchinis are already getting powdery mildew. Green beans. I don't know, about maybe 30 plants. A stunted acorn squash. Stunted because if you plant it too early, it's going to be, they usually go in shock. And if they go into shock early, sometimes they just won't even grow. They'll stay like this. And they'll try to put on fruit. But it's pretty much a goner. I should pull it out and plant some beets or something quick growing. Green beans. More cabbage. Sauerkraut. Zucchini. Here's another stunted growth squash. Look how small this plant is. compared to, it's supposed to look like this. See how big that is? Plant around the same time. I probably planted this too early. But sweet. What else do we have? So that's the same plant. That is doing better, even though it's stunted. It's big now. It's going to produce. Planted at the same time as that little guy. A lot of weeds are showing up in this video, but yeah. Okay, garden tour. Zooks. What are those called? They are called sunchokes. These are sunchokes. It's supposed to be like 8 feet tall. Not doing well. Raspberry, peppers, something, bell peppers, tomatoes, nothing, sweet potatoes, russet potatoes, tomato, russet potato row, tomato, potato. Yeah, all these are russet potatoes. So 2 rows pretty much of russet potatoes in 15 to 20 gallon pots. All these pots too are free. Free pots. The garden centers throw them away. It's a shame.